Hey there, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about a challenge that, well, every educator knows. How do you reconnect with a student who's just gone quiet? We're going to explore this really powerful, research-backed way of writing messages that can bring those students back. And we'll look at how AI can actually become an incredible partner in that process. All right, let's jump right in. So you've seen it, right? A student starts the course strong, they're engaged, and then nothing. Just silence. It's such a common story. And more often than not, it has nothing to do with their ability or how hard they're trying. What the research tells us is that many students just disappear because on some level, they've started to feel like they just don't matter in the course anymore. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll break down something called the spiral of silence. Then we'll get into why belonging is the absolute key to stopping it. We'll get super practical with the 4 core moves for writing these messages. And finally, we'll dig into how to use AI as a thinking partner and how to do it responsibly and effectively. Okay, so first up, let's dig into the problem itself. This pattern of a student slowly pulling away, which happens a lot in online courses or first-year classes, often follows this predictable path we can call the spiral of silence. It almost always starts with something small. A student misses a login, maybe an assignment slips by. That little gap then creates this moment of silence. And that silence starts to feed this feeling of being hopelessly behind. And before you know it, just withdrawing completely feels like their only move. They start to believe it's just too late to come back, thinking a door is locked when really it was just closed. But what if we could interrupt that spiral? The solution isn't about getting tougher. It's about building a stronger connection. And this is where the really powerful research-backed concept of belonging comes into play. This all comes back to the incredible work of Terrell Strayhorn. His research really frames belonging as this central driver of whether a student sticks with it or not. I mean, it sounds simple, right? It's that feeling of being accepted, valued, and included. It's the sense that I matter here. And what's crucial is that this feeling is super responsive to our everyday small interactions. And look, this isn't just some niche idea. The power of belonging is backed up by major frameworks in learning and motivation. If you look at John Hattie's work, for instance, it shows that strong teacher-student relationships and clear communication, they're some of the most powerful influences on student success. Belonging is really the emotional engine that makes all that data run. Now, here's the part that's really encouraging. Fostering this feeling doesn't require these huge, grand gestures that take up a ton of time. The research is crystal clear. Belonging is built through small, consistent signals. A single, well-crafted message can be enough to reopen a door a student thought was locked forever. Okay, so that's the why, but what about the how? How do we actually do this? Let's get tactical. There's a really practical framework we can use to write these kinds of powerful messages. We call them the 4 core moves of belonging-centered communication. It breaks down into these 4 moves. First, you signal that the student as a human being matters. The goal here isn't to correct their behavior. It's all about restoring that connection. Second, you normalize struggle. Just saying, this happens, or you're not alone in this, can totally reduce that feeling of shame. Third, you communicate confidence in them, that you believe they can get back on track. And fourth, you give them one small, clear step to get started. It just lowers that barrier to jumping back in. All right, so once you've got this 4-part structure in your head, you can bring in a really powerful new tool, artificial intelligence. Not as a replacement for you, never as a replacement, but as a thinking partner to help you apply these moves consistently. And I really want to double down on this point. We are not trying to automate caring. You can't. The whole idea here is to use AI to help you express your genuine care more effectively, more clearly, and more consistently, especially when you're swamped and short on time. It helps make sure your good intentions actually land the way you want them to. All right, enough theory. Let's see what this actually looks like in practice. We're going to look at how different AI tools can generate messages using our 4 core moves. But just as important, we'll cover the absolute essential guardrails for using these tools responsibly. Okay, check this out. This is a perfect illustration of what I'm talking about. We gave the exact same prompt to Copilot, ChatGPT, and Gemini. And just look at the key phrasing. Copilot says, you matter and it's normal to hit a bump. ChatGPT says you matter and that happens. Gemini says their voice is valuable and falling behind happens to the best of us. The words are a little different, right? But the underlying structure, mattering, normalizing, showing confidence, and offering a next step, it's identical across all 3.
And this right here, this is the key takeaway. It doesn't really matter which specific AI tool you use. The magic isn't in the algorithm. It's in the pedagogical framework you feed it. It's the 4 core moves that are doing the heavy lifting and making the message work.
Okay, but using these tools comes with some really important rules of the road. We have to be careful here. First rule, and it's an absolute: never, ever paste identifiable student data into an AI. Protect their privacy above everything else. Second, always keep the authorship human. Think of the AI as a first draft writer for your voice. And remember to lead with belonging, not compliance. The tone should always feel like support, not surveillance. It also really helps to personalize at least one part of the message. And finally, you might even think about being transparent. A simple note like, hey, I used an AI tool to help me draft this, but the concerns is 100% mine, can actually build trust. And this might be the most important rule of all. Before you ever hit send, you absolutely have to read the message and ask, does this sound like me? AI is a fantastic assistant, but you are the instructor. Your authentic voice is what forges that connection. The goal is always to amplify your presence, not replace it. So when you put it all together, what's the big shift we're talking about? We're moving from a focus on just compliance to a focus on genuine connection. We're moving from messages that can feel kind of robotic and automated to messages that are filled with your presence as the instructor. And you know what? Here's the best part. This approach doesn't necessarily take more time. It just takes more intentionality. So at the end of the day, what does this all boil down to? It's this. Behind every student who's gone quiet, there's a story. A story about balancing work and school, about navigating a new campus, or maybe just a moment of self-doubt. By leading with belonging, your message might just be the one thing that changes their story from one of withdrawal to one of return. So what story could your next message change?